Okay.
Not
50,
be.
54-24. Chicago. DNC
Yeah.
story? What do you want to do first?
Well, I don't want to talk about the DNC. If you want to, you could go ahead. But I want to talk about what we could use as a metric for showing that this is a city that's thriving, growing, a place where people want to grow. But population would be one, right? If you look at the population of something, that's indication of the growth or decline of a population of where people want to live, where businesses want to set up and do business. But if you look at Chicago, their population fell to the lowest level since 1920. This has
Come
been over
on.
100
Since 1920. The biggest drop or the overall population? There's
just
no way
fell
it's the
to its
overall
lowest
population.
point. Its lowest point since 1920. So polling, 61% of all people living in Illinois also want to leave the state.
Oh, this.
And
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Right. So if you look at that, a lot of people want to leave because of taxes over there. But where they're heading to is places like Florida, Texas, and other states. And why are they doing it? Yeah, but they're taking a lot of it's a brain drain. Then it's also capital drain that goes along with it because tax incentives is driving a lot of people to go to those states. There's also housing, which is more affordable. Like I see listings in Texas for housing, and in comparison to what it is here in Southern Ontario, it's like, holy fuck, you can get a lot over there in Texas compared to over here. And especially I would imagine the same thing with Chicago. Job opportunities. Chicago's not doing all that great, but you look at that, what's going on there with all these people moving to other states, it kind of looks like the same thing was happening here in Canada too. I don't want to make this a Canadian story, but we have people that are leaving Canada to other areas of the world, and it's for the same reasons as well. Job opportunities, housing, tax incentives. And when you do that, when individuals move, when businesses move, that's tax dollars that are moving because you're not going to get income tax from these individuals. You're not going to get corporate taxes from those businesses. Then there's also the other things, people of hiring other people and then they spend it. And there's a whole trickle down effect here, but this could easily spread to other areas. It just won't be localized simply to Chicago as other areas suffer the same fate. This could make some really bad areas like a swath of like northern states or even northeastern states in the United States just in a bad situation. And for the most part, a lot of these countries, a lot of these places were driving the GDP of the United States and in fact the fucking world. And if there's a change in where business is being done, commerce is being set up, this could be a change in the world itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at this. Chicago is like ground zero, not just for this, but also like for other things too. But yeah, I'm not sure if you want to add anything else to
it. Did you listen to Peter Thiel on Rogan?
No. What did he say?
It's worth it. They talked about this. They talked about it in the context of California, about how you're just seeing so many exits from California at this point that to keep these dumb programs running and to keep the spending up and to keep the, sort of the liquor going into the punch, you need a tax base that's willing to stick out your shitty policies because the rest of their life is so good, right? So, for example, the taxes are super high and everything is, politicized. Social problems are spreading all over the place, but at least there's a good nightlife, or at least it's warm, or at least it's whatever. The thing is that those places are having trouble keeping people. And so what ends up happening? You end up taxing the people who can't leave. The problem is the people who can't leave can't pay taxes at that level. And there's a lot of places seeing this. Chicago, one. California, those cities in California, another. What about Canada? Canada is at the point now where more people are paying more in taxes than they are in necessities every month. I'm assuming that includes income tax. So your income tax is minimum. I think, what's the minimum tax rate? Is it 20%, something like that? It's fairly high.
I have no idea.
It's fairly high. Like, chances are you're paying somewhere between 30 and 50% in Canada. I would imagine if you're listening to this show, you're a, fairly bright guy and net producer and you're making good money. And if you're not, I'm sure you could fix that because if you found us, you got something in the tank. These policies that force people to pay more in taxes than they spend on clothing and shelter and food cannot last forever. Why? Well, because those people eventually will break. And I've said this before, that everyone's got a tipping point. It's hard to leave for that person, but at some point it becomes harder to stay. And everyone's just going to go because the grass is going to be greener almost certainly, right? Right now, you run the risk of going somewhere and it not being as good, or going somewhere and it not being as easy, going somewhere and it not being as friendly or whatever, or culture shock, or you name it. But soon you won't be able to avoid it. And Chicago, to kind of tie a bow on this, go back to your story there. In Canada, yeah, am I paying a fucking boatload of tax for services I'll never be able to use and shit that barely works? Sure. But at least there's not people fucking shooting me as soon as I leave my house. In Chicago, there's 20 shootings a weekend. Like literally all over the city, there's places you can't go because you're going to get killed or robbed or some combination of the two. That's if you don't get pissed on by a drug addicted vagrant in the interim. You can't be in these places. And the DNC, some of the videos from the DNC already look insane because these people are taking no prisoners. They place blame squarely on one of the two parties. And I'll give you a hint. Like you said, the DNC doesn't hold their convention in a Republican stronghold. They hold it in a Democratic one. And yeah, I mean, the policies, they have consequences. And a place like that's been democratically governed for 50 years? I don't know, a long time. You see the results. You be the judge whether or not it worked.
The best story I remember we talked about a few times is there's a Chicago White Sox game, and that lady, she smuggled that gun in the folds of her flesh.
Incredible.
And shot herself accidentally in the stands.
That's the American dream.
That is it, right? What a great story. If anything,
and the game continued. The game continued.
Not only did the game continue, the fans for the most part didn't even react. It was just like another it's like somebody crushed a can or something.
They saw it at a stoplight on their way here. What's the matter if it happens?
Yeah. So that was
I don't even lock my doors over the fat guy shooting himself in the fat leg or whatever.
By the way, did you see the White Sox, how bad they're playing? If you can look at
they stink.
It's like
they stink.
Lows. So nothing's going well in Chicago. Inflation, though, seems to be on the right track in the United States because it was reported that it was down to 2.9% in July. This is lower than expectations. And this is the lowest level since March 2021. So it's been 3 years and change since we were at this particular moment. So it looks like they're priming us for a potential rate cut, right? With coming out with this news.
Yeah.
But one thing I have to admit, and granted, I don't live in the United States, but Canada, we're kind of similar in this regards. Prices seem to be stabilizing. Like the rate of change isn't as much month over month, even year. Like there was a significant change between 2021 to 2022 and 23 and so forth. But in the last few months, you see things have stabilized because, they stopped really with quantitative easing. They're kind of doing quantitative tightening. And this, in the end, if you do this, you're going to have some price stability moving forward. Maybe not in totality, but it's going to be a matter of time before they reverse that. They'll go from
global M2 is turning up. So global liquidity is turning up. US liquidity is still sideways, but also looks to be about to break out on a chart.
And once that happens, look out. Then this number is delayed, this 2.9%.
Plus, Len, it's just fucking bullshit. Like the numbers for cereal and popsicles. It's not for shit you actually want. Okay, that's all there is to it. And like can
you say like in the past 3 months things have changed drastically even for the things you want? I will argue like they're pretty stable for them. Like
you're right. They're not going
back
crazy
further,
anymore.
probably not. But
Jackson Hole is on Friday. You will remember a year ago at Jackson Hole, or 2 years ago at Jackson Hole, everyone said, "Oh, well, look at all these. He's gonna talk about interest rates. They don't ever say anything at Jackson Hole. It's always nondescript." Then he comes out and reads the Riot Act. We're not cutting rates. We're not cutting rates. We're raising them, and they're going to be there for a while. So over that year, he raises to whatever the policy rate is, 5 and change, and he decides that he can only hold it for about a year. Now the market pricing in at 100% certainty, at least 25 basis points in September, probably more. I don't buy for a second the data around inflation led in the States for, as I mentioned, because it's mostly for Pez candies and popsicles. But on top of that, the idea that these guys don't want the Democratic Party to win, I think is just wrong. Trump has been very vocal about what he thinks Powell should have done, has done wrong. And also was on TV a little while ago talking about how he thinks the president should have a say in the policy rate It shouldn't just be the Federal Reserve who gets to decide it. That's a dicey road to go down. I don't necessarily agree with Big Don on that one, but the idea that these guys don't want things to stay status quo in terms of their power and their influence and the direction that the government and the economic policy of the Federal Reserve is going, that they want that to change or they want to be fired. No, I don't think so. And so is it a mystery that suddenly this body that has been apolitical and done everything they can, perceived, real or otherwise, to stay out of the political realm is going to cut probably twice before the election? I don't think it's a coincidence at all. I think it's actually spot on. I think it's spot on to say that they are becoming political, even if they're pretending they're not. I'm going to wait to see what he says at Jackson Hole on Friday. And I suspect it'll be not quite a victory lap, but something close. He'll reference the speech 2 years ago and he'll say, in those 2 years, we made some difficult decisions. We think they were the right decisions. And so far, we've been correct in that assumption. And directionally, we are headed the right way. We've done it. Something like that. It won't matter, obviously, because after the election, assuming Kamala Sutra wins, we'll get price controls. You saw today the U.S. implementing basically the same level of low skill, low wage immigration that Canada's doing on the Kamala platform. And you're going to get more inflation. You can't stop. Energy will cost more money. The SPR, it only has so much to give. All these things together, you're going to hit a winter here. War in Russia, not close to over, although some armchair quarterbacks will tell you that, Ukraine bombing some empty green space on the Russian border is like a big victory. These people don't pay attention at all. It's almost unbelievable. It's it's just like, it's a stacker's paradise. And I think we talked about this before, how there's like two groups of people, basically. One who bought and held every limited quantity equity asset, commodity, home they could during this last year and a half or 2 years, right? Whether it's Bitcoin, Microsoft stock, or a fourplex in your city. If you bought and held and hung in, you're going to be rewarded handsomely when rates start coming down. Because the idea that you're not going to get $100,000 Bitcoin, even as Kamala, if she wins, I'm assuming she'll win, by the way, even if she wins, and does her best to stomp out the crypto thing and the Bitcoin thing, she won't be able to. And like I said to QTR and Larry when they were on a little while ago, everything the government does now at any level in any country that's anti-Bitcoin is a scared whimper as opposed to a stern warning, because everyone can see the writing on the wall for all these currencies and all these governments. So long story short, rates will be cut probably twice before the election, maybe as much as 75 bips. The Fed is political. Powell will say he won, even though he knows he hasn't. And global M2 is about to turn up. And the price is probably going to turn up with it. So strap in.
Presidential candidate Kamala Harris.
Kamala Sutra. On this program, we call her Kamala Sutra. Say it. Say it. Kamala Sutra.
There's reasons why I want to just continue to call her Kamala Harris, because she's been making waves this past week when she was campaigning, and with a couple of new initiatives she wants to roll out if ever she becomes president of the United States. Number one, 3 million new homes is what she's committed to being built.
Sounds familiar.
And yeah, it's a very familiar thing that is being done here in Canada. She's proposing about giving first-time home buyers up to $25,000 towards a down payment. And this, let's be honest, I'm not sure exactly how it is as a totality in the United States for starter homes, because this is for new home buyers, first-time home buyers. So they're going to be buying new homes. So, starter homes. So I would imagine it's just going to elevate the price of those starter homes by about $25,000, because, well, if everybody has $25,000 to start with, well, the price of everything goes up by that much.
That's right. That's right.
Pushing it, and that's, it's too bad that's the case, but temporarily it might help people. In the long run, it will just hinder a lot of people, and it will just add to the existing tax burden that they have over there, because that's money that's not free. It's got to come from somewhere. If you want to go look at what's going on in the United States, the home sales, for instance, the existing homes sales, they fell 5.4% in June this year compared to May. And in June 2023, since June 2023, it's been consecutive month-over-month decline. So in the past 12 months and change. It's been month over month decline. So existing home sales have been dropping significantly month over month for a long period of time. So you have that, less homes being sold. Why? Because there's high interest rates, and who's going to want to give up a low interest rate mortgage that they have locked in before and enter into a new interest rate now, like this can probably be 6, 7, 8%. So you're not going to want to sell a home. So inventory is down and nobody's selling. And now you have people coming in. There's more people that's entering into the United States because the population growth is going quite high. So money is being devalued. It's the perfect storm, right? Like there's no way people could buy these homes. And on top of that, that's just one problem. The second one Kamala Harris wants to solve is the high price of food, and she's targeting the price gouging in the food industry. And she says that she wants to put new penalties for opportunistic companies that exploit crises and break the rules. So I guess you could unpack that. CNN, I was reading an article by CNN that discussed this, and even they were saying that I'm going to quote this: Harris's plan to stop price gouging could create more problems than it solves. This is from CNN.
Yeah.
And they concluded that the best option is more competition. I'm with them on that. That's a really good point, because, one way to stifle innovation and growth in a particular sector is put the neck on competition, put the foot on the neck for competition, which they have been doing, or at least they want to do with this particular move. We could use examples here and real life examples. Late last year, and we talked about it, Chicago, they had some store closures because of a variety of reasons, and they were going to be setting up their own city-run grocery stores because they need to get right. So when you do that, that's a good way to stop price gouging. But what's going to happen? You have less competition and longer wait lines for people to get government cheese. And that's not the way to do things. You want to encourage competition. That's one way to drive price down. I'll be honest, if I was operating a grocery store and I'm making money hand over fist, it's not going to take very much for somebody else to look at, hey, this guy's doing it. I'm going to try to operate in the same field he is, but just lower the price a little bit. And then they're going to start making money. And then you finally come to an equilibrium where that's where the product should be sold at. That's the market deciding, not this policy. So what they're trying to achieve here. It's incredible that they're doing this now in 2024. They're talking about this. This is like borderline Soviet Union stuff, right? And we all know what happened there.
Did you see the Washington Post headline about Soviet Union, by the way? If people are calling you a communist, maybe you don't want to introduce price controls. That's the headline of the editorial from the Washington Post.
So CNN, now Washington Post. So that's obviously this is the United States, where capitalism should reign supreme.
It's the home of capitalism. It is the birthplace, the cradle of capitalism.
And this is not it. This is not a policy. And hopefully they realize the error in their way and go away from this and do something else to try to solve this problem. But the root of it, let's be honest, it's money that's been devalued. That's why your wages aren't going up to the same pace that the money is being devalued. And then the prices of shit go up and you can't buy it. Fucking find out why that is. Again, like I mentioned, it's devaluing the money. Fix that and you'll fix the problem.
You are spot on. I'm not even going to add anything to that, Len. That was exactly correct. Everything you said there, I totally agree with 100%. Is bang on. It's crazy to me this is going on. I look forward to seeing what the convention looks like. She'll have to speak. In terms of copying Canada's policy, incredible stuff on the housing front, incredible stuff on the grocer front. They're pulling from the same playbook. The immigration thing, the same. And then, she was asked in a media scrum yesterday or today how she's going to pay for all this. You know what she said, right? Talking about pulling from Canada's playbook. It's going to pay for itself. Len. I've seen this one before. I know how it turns out.
In some cases, they can pay for themselves, but you have to cost it out, and you have to.
Nothing pays for itself. There's going
to be something like there's going to be right, but you can come up with a plan to try to at least try to show that it will somehow money will flow from one to another and it will be revenue neutral in one way or another. You can theoretically come, but it's not everything was like that. You'd have to come out with a solid argument and prove and go through every scenario. It's tough to do, but it's possible. In this case, I don't think it is.
I look forward to seeing what Three Cocktail Kamala is going to say during her DNC address. I'll say that.
So guarantee she's speaking? Like, I'm not.
She'll speak for sure. She's the candidate. She's going to say something. It's going to be interesting to see how they get the people who wanted to be the candidate to support her. Guys like Newsom presumably will speak at that conference, or convention, I should say. Who else is on that potential ticket there? Like Cory Booker, he was a presidential candidate back in 2016. I don't know if he's still around now, but like these big name guys who would have liked the nomination, Obama, presumably Michelle Obama as well. Biden will have to speak. I think his daughter's introducing him maybe tonight. He's speaking. So it's just not like that. The party is in disarray, and the media is really carrying water for them. And you're going to see, I think, that they're still in disarray over the course of the next few days. Yeah. Boom Dust in the chat saying, Pete Buttigieg to Clinton, Hillary Clinton, maybe. Yeah. It'd be interesting, man. A lot of people would have liked that nomination, and instead they gave it to Kamala. Am I saying that right? Kamala, or is it Kamala? I just honestly don't know.
Yeah. My apologies if I, and the reason why, because
I'm not apologizing. I just want to make sure I'm saying it right.
No, I don't want to piss anybody off. Let's be honest.
No one should be pissed off with an honest mistake. These people
that's what it is.
These people are insane. Just one other note here on the name. Kamala Sutra's in good fun. Anyone who calls you a racist for mispronouncing Kamala or Kamala is a fucking idiot. So
no, for me, it's not. And it's
I know, but there's people in the news. People in the news are on TV saying that it's like a racist attack to mispronounce her name. These people are fucking stupid. Ignore them, 100% of the time.
Agreed. Let's go to Quebec.
Love it. Sure.
School system over there that's being pushed to its absolute limits. They have a teacher shortage that is being experienced over there. They have population growth. Every province has had a major population growth, and Quebec is not excluded from this. They have 20,000 more students this year than they do last year. And about 80% of those new students are newcomers that came to the province. So that's essentially the breakdown. And in terms of their teacher shortage,
wait a minute, give me one more time. Give me the breakdown one more time.
So 20,000 more students this year than last year.
Yeah.
And of that 20,000, 80% are newcomers.
Absolutely unbelievable.
And they need 5,700 teachers in order to be where they want to be. So those are 5,700 teacher positions that need to be filled. We're 2 weeks away from school starting. Maybe less, actually.
I think it's less over there. Yeah, I think it's less over there. Yeah.
So according to StatsCan, and this is data that was published in June, there were almost 600,000 non-permanent residents in Quebec in second quarter of 2024. That's including 190,000 asylum seekers. And that's up from 420,000 temporary residents a year earlier. And 295,000.
50% gain? 50% gain in a year.
Just about, and furthermore, in 2022 was just around 300,000 with 295.
Wow.
So it's 100% gain since. So that's accelerate. Right?
Wow.
So and this all has to be done really soon in terms of filling those positions. Is then classroom sizes are going to be larger and teachers are going to be dealing with more kids. It's a difficult situation. I mean, I don't want to get into this and that with the teaching, but let's be honest. Ideally, you want to have a certain teacher to student ratio, and they're probably not going to achieve it. And who's going to suffer in the end? Ultimately, is the student, because they're not going to get the same type of attention that they would get if they reach their ideal situation of having these 5,700 teachers positions filled. So it's a strange situation. But what's the cause of it? Or some of the cause of this, I don't want to say totality. Some of the cause of this is the increase of the population of Quebec.
I was a teacher in training once. Peut-être, I'm going to try my French here. Septembre serait le bon moment pour mon début dans une école. Boom Dust, tell me if that's correct. I don't know what the plan is over there. Forget the school thing, okay? How do the roads handle 600,000 more people in 2 years? Did they build $600,000 worth of roadways over there for traffic, for congestion, for anything? No. Did they add 600,000 people worth of hospital beds, doctors, professionals? No. Teachers, no. Fucking Subway sandwich artists, no. Literally nothing has been done to not combat, but to coordinate services for another 600,000 people in Quebec. By the way, how many of those 600,000 people speak French or English?
I would imagine a lot of them speak French because the silence.
Okay.
Yeah, so they come from French first speaking countries, so yeah, they speak French for the most part, and so yeah, that's Quebec does their own immigration too. By the way, it's separate from Canada.
Yes, they have a different set of rules.
Yeah, but it is what it is. Yeah, so.
Enjoy, have fun with that, because it ain't going to be good. You wonder why results in schools are getting worse. By the way, this idea that standardized testing doesn't work is one issue. It does work, of course. You're not bad at taking a test. You're just dumb. The other problem is that obviously teachers just don't have the bandwidth. How can you not burn out with a class of 40 kids where 20 of them or 15 of them or 10 of them are new Canadians? Even if they speak the language, the cultural assimilation period takes time.
Yeah.
You can't, it's insane. It's insane. And I don't know how else to describe it. This is it's culturally a suicidal policy to do this. You just can't absorb this many people. You can't absorb that many people who are exactly like you in every way, from a structural point of view, from a services point of view. You just can't. Not in 2 years. You
can absorb 600,000 Bitcoiners, I think. Imagine if Canada got 600,000 new Bitcoiners. I think
it might be good.
A better place, I think.
They all got to go to Saskatchewan, though. It's too busy over here.
Let's talk about LMIAs, the labor market impact.
My favorite topic of the LMIA segment, brought to you by Tim Hortons. Order a double-double, and maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. Only at Tim Hortons.
We'll be talking about Tim Hortons. Did you see this one?
Oh, I can't wait.
As per 6Buzz TV, that is a Twitter or X account.
Twitter and Instagram. Good account. Very good account.
Tim Hortons have been looking for workers abroad.
We talked about this 2 weeks ago. The LMIA website has like multiple Tim Hortons in Ontario. I think they had something like 700 people hired at Tim Hortons across Ontario on
That's
LMIAs.
Incredible.
It should be illegal. It should be illegal.
Yeah. Well, let's move on then. We talked about late stage fiat. Let's talk about this one here. CTV article. And it was talking about, could swallowing a dose of human feces help cure some mental illnesses?
Oh, you're going to be begging. You're going to be begging for them to be pitching bugs.
Well, I think this is the timing of this is awesome. So they're going to try serving up feces as a way to deal with mental illnesses. And one way to get that feces is just head to your local beach and just scoop up whatever's there. So it's a perfect thing. So you have a steady supply of feces. And now you have a customer base in which you want to sell it to. This is a business that was just waiting to be fucking done. And now we have it. God. Thank you, those people from the Calgary researchers.
This is it. When we're finally put on trial for our crimes here, the jury's going to put on their headphones. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to put on your headphones for exhibit L2465, the beach discussion on CBP number 177. The jury puts their headphones on and it cuts right to you talking about the business idea you have for unlimited shit supply from Ontario beaches.
This an absolute $1 billion idea. We should be able to harvest this. People, in fact, we should, instead of buying the jet, this is what we should do. We should fucking a new company that does this.
Shit distributors.
Let's do it, Joey. All right. Immigration incentives in Canada.
Wait a minute. We got to talk more about this story. These guys are trying to cure mental illnesses by feeding people shit. You're going to wish. We talked about this on the show before, and Julian Figueroa just did this like week-long thing where he was like eating bugs. You're going to you people who think it's like eats the bugs, you're going to wish they were feeding you bugs when you see what they actually want to feed you. You're going to wish for the bugs. You're going to be dreaming about the bugs. Because the bugs is going to look real good compared to what these guys got in store. Literal turds to fix your mental illness. It can't just be fixed. It can't be fixed by having affordable food or affordable family formation options or affordable housing. No. It's got to be fixed with poop, the poop of another. to fix your mental. Like, come on, what are we talking about here? This is a real story, man. This is what's going on in this country.
I can't believe they published this in CTV. So they thought this was an idea that they should, somebody's got to read it. We got to fucking publish this story. People are going to consume it, and people are going to want it in the end. They're going to want to fucking consume this shit. I'm not talking about the article. I'm talking about the actual shit. So, fuck, man. So immigration might be going through a change. There's proposals to change
incredible.
how
This story's nuts. This story's
convert
nuts.
some temporary workers.
Not just convert. They're actively soliciting immigration in what the country calls tier 4 and tier 5.
I could let me just shed some, because what tier 4 and tier 5. Tier 4, this is straight from the Canada.ca website, and it's occupations that usually require a high school diploma or several weeks of on-the-job training. So they say some examples are home childcare providers, retail salespersons, and visual merchandisers. That's tier 4.
Stocking
tier 5,
shelves. Visual merchandising is stocking shelves.
And tier 5 is occupations that usually need short-term work demonstration and no formal education. And some examples are landscaping and grounds maintenance laborers, and delivery service drivers, and door-to-door distributors. So that's essentially what tier 4, tier 5, Joey. I'll pass the baton over to you.
What is there to say? These are the people we're soliciting now. There is no veil. Like, this was thinly veiled before, and now there's no veil. We're not seeking doctors and engineers, guys. We're not seeking nurses or nurse practitioners. We're not seeking accountants or skilled people. We're seeking low wage, low income, low skill people to pad the bottom of whatever pyramid scheme, social program, is running into trouble, is going to run into trouble over the next 10 years. Is there any other way to describe this? Am I missing something there? Is that like a dishonest take? Is it a slanted take? Am I misconstruing something in the policy proposal? Am I misconstruing what tier 4 and tier 5 labor looks like? These are not people who are going to climb the corporate ladder. Sorry, not everyone is the same. Okay? It's just a fact of the matter. It doesn't matter what country you come from. There's Canadians who are tier 4 and tier 5 types. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just the way it is. But we need better people than this in this country. And certainly we need more, a more concentrated effort to find people who are going to address the needs that the country has as it ages. It's not fucking Amazon drivers. It's doctors. It's nurses. It's high skilled people, high functioning people. This is not going to help. This is to me very scary stuff. And I don't often say that on the show because I think it's weird to say things are scary. But if you invite 1 million people of that level to the country over the next 5 years, is that good or bad? Who is operating under the illusion that it's good to have 1 million more people like that in the country? Anyone?
I don't know. And it's hard to say because you're just giving a number, right? 1 million. And if we could break that down, say it is 1 million people that meet demand. So we have doctors that are going to be working here.
That's
doctors.
important. No. I mean 1 million. I mean 1 million people in tier 4 and 5. The people we're seeking out. Is it good for the country to have 1 million more of those people?
I'm not going to answer that.
You don't have to comment on
people,
that. But everyone knows whether it's good or bad. And like, it's not necessarily a shot at these people. Every country needs people like that. But we already have too many people like that. Clearly, all the services that those people use are not getting staffed by newcomers. They're just being used by newcomers. We need people to do those services, to perform those services, to be the expert. We're not getting them. Hell, Len, there's not even tradespeople on that list. Like construction, maybe in the landscaping designation there in tier 4, but like there's nothing there that we need. And so
construction seems to have gone downhill lately. There's less demand for that
for now. But if you keep putting 1 million people in the country every year, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about this. I honestly don't. I think we all got to be very, very concerned with the efforts and focus in terms of immigration that we're seeing. There's nothing in there about nurses and high skilled people. Why? You be the judge. I don't know.
What are you doing tomorrow, Joey?
Besides work,
Yeah, just in general. Are you doing anything to celebrate tomorrow? Like anything in particular?
What's
Because tomorrow is, as per the city of Toronto, they're going to be celebrating the Undocumented Residence Day. It's an event that's going on there.
Why,
So
listen, why do you never give an opinion on the story and then you just keep throwing the red meat into the fucking lion's cage here? What do you expect me to say? We can't both not give a comment when these are the stories. It's ridiculous. Undocumented People's Day. Why?
Residents Day.
Oh, fuck.
So anyway, City of Toronto, they said that the city is committed to supporting all residents regardless of immigration status. So
Perfect.
They say join us on August 20th, which is tomorrow, for Undocumented Residence Day event and learn about the realities, challenges, and contribution undocumented Torontonians make to our city. So that's happening tomorrow.
Is there a community note? Is there a community note on the tweet?
There was nothing I found out as associated to it. I mean, what could you say about it? They're just, doing what they can to talk about what's going with these individuals that are undocumented. I don't know. I think we should have took the day off work and go there and attend it. Maybe interview a few people.
Send an email to your boss. Listen, I'm going to be celebrating tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a very important day. That's Undocumented Residence Day.
I don't know about this. I don't know.
If I tear up my passport, can I participate? Am I like one?
Oh, I'm undocumented. I'm 1 degree removed from undocumented. I don't. What do you like? What is the like? How are we celebrating? Is there like a parade? Is there some stands? Like, what is there? Is there like?
They can't do a parade because then you're gonna have.
Is there a float?
The Palestinians counter protest.
The Palestinians they won't like that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff going on in Toronto. Is Olivia Chow going to be in a bathing suit at least? Like what's the what am I getting out of this?
Okay, that's it, Joey. We're done with the show. It's we're done. What a fantastic wrap up this was. So.
That's it. We're done.
That's it. Fuck. What else can we go on to this week? That's it. We're gonna get cut off any minute now if we continue down this path.
Len, there's 311 people here. I love you guys, man. It's amazing. I see the number going up all the time. I can't believe people come and watch us. It's fun.
You know what? We could talk about one more thing if you really want to.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Well, this will be like more like there's a water main break in Montreal.
I saw that.
We saw this.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this in the past that the infrastructure in Canada in general is aging, and it's aging rapidly, and something needs to be done to update it. And typically things aren't updated until they break. That's the way things are done. And just because there's not enough money to go around, and that's just a reality of it. And this water main break was massive in Montreal. It created essentially a small lake over there. And Calgary had one not too long ago. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure exactly what is the status of that. I know that it was the beginning of summertime and they were forcing residents.
It was fixed. I work with some people who are working Calgary, and it was fixed after about 10 days, I think. So
that's good. I thought it was going to be longer, but still 10 days.
Fixed or rerouted, maybe, Len, one or the other. But they got water back in about 10 days.
Yeah, okay, that's good to hear. But that's just underlying the point I'm making here is that the infrastructure is old, and typically this shit breaks in the wintertime through the freeze thaw cycle. But now we're experiencing this stuff happening during the summertime, and that's kind of concerning to me. And as this happens more and more, then that's going to be more money that has to be diverted to this, more people that are impacted, homes flooded, businesses flooded, and that's just a reality what we're dealing with now. And what do? I don't know. Just I guess buy more Bitcoin but it's a sad situation.
Bring in 600,000 people and tax the shit out of them, and that ought to fix the whole problem. Raise taxes and add immigrants to the city. That'll fix it.
Yeah. And that's what's going on in Montreal. And you know what? I suspect the next few years you're going to see a lot more of these problems in major cities throughout Canada, especially in the wintertime. And then that creates a problem. Then traffic is built up and you can't get to and from work. Emergency personnel can't get to the emergencies. It creates a fucking big problem. And it's because we just don't have the ability, the necessary resources, talking about money, to fix these problems before they become a bigger problem.
But at least you'll be able to get your Amazon package overnight instead of having to wait till the next day. That's a plus.
Maybe.
You can. If pretty much everything comes overnight now. You have that option on Amazon. Get it delivered right to your door in the middle of the night. Hopefully no one steals it, but at least it'll be there.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're also anticipating there would be no problem from the Amazon order from going from A to B. If
Yeah.
it's flooded out because of a water main break and roads are closed, that the overnight delivery ain't gonna happen. They got to
No, it
use
ain't.
drones at that point.
That's right.
And we're probably not too long ago from getting to that, but
I can't
yeah.
wait. I can't wait. God bless everyone. Thanks for coming. Don't forget, Mark is on with Joe Barbuto on the Rampart Twitter feed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so go check that out. Support Mark, support those guys. They're doing good work. And yeah, till next time, take care of yourselves.
And don't be a cock.